Hello everybody, my name is Ray. Welcome to the Evangelical Dark Web. Today, we're going to be talking about Nikki Haley and her support for transgenderism. Now, this really should be unsurprising to anyone in the audience, because after all, Nikki Haley is the most woke candidate in the race. I would say she's even more woke than Joe Biden, because Joe Biden is just passively woke. He goes along with all of this. Nikki Haley is a true believer in wokeness. And this is a very demonstrable pattern in her. And you see that with her support for Bubba Wallace, her, feminism that's very much overt and very much into the whole Black Lives Matter narrative as well. So she's a very woke candidate, and it spreads to all other issues. And the issue of transgenderism is no exception. There's a clip that surfaced that went viral recently, but there is more context to that clip. I want to share that context, add a little bit extra context, and we're going to do a deep dive on yet another Republican candidate that does not know what a woman is. But first, I want to let you know, Evangelical Dark Web is a Christian news gathering and commentary ministry. You can support us over at evangelicaldarkweb.org/join. Now, again, this is a pretty contentious primary cycle, and part of the contentious primary cycle is where is that critical evangelical voting bloc going to land? And I don't see a whole lot of support lined up for Nikki Haley. You have John Hagee is a big supporter of Nikki Haley, and that is about it as far as high-profile names go. And John Hagee, I think we all know why John Hagee supports Nikki Haley. It's because of the Israel question. So, with that said, we're going to hop on over to this tweet. This is an older clip, but this does have to do with the whole bathroom bill debate. So this goes back to her days as governor. So one of my criticisms of Nikki Haley is she never did anything as governor. Like, she has zero accomplishments. And I thought it was a bad idea at the time for her to leave being the governor of South Carolina to be the UN ambassador. That was a downgrade. That was a demotion. But she did that. She took the easiest job in the Trump administration, left early in the Trump administration to be, I believe it was on the board of Raytheon or Boeing. I think it was Boeing when they experienced one of their worst quarters, actually. But anyway, zero accomplishments as governor, and here is a continuation of that.
To bring in a bath. When I was governor, they wanted to bring in a bathroom bill, a transgender bathroom bill, and I strong-armed and said, we are not going to have that in South Carolina. When I was governor.
So you heard that. She supports men going into women's rooms, women's bathrooms. That's pretty disgusting. That was a liberal policy at the time. And she's bragging about that. She's bragging about shutting down a conservative piece of legislation in a supposedly red state. And I say supposedly red state because South Carolina, they have one of the worst congressional delegations in all of Congress. So this is the clip that went viral. This is the full context of the clip that went viral. And this is where she talks about the issue of transgenderism. This is from June 2023. So it is on the campaign trail for President of the United States. And this is quite damning, I would say, as far as her viability as a candidate. Like, I've already had the view that if she were a general election candidate, I would not vote for her. Like, she's already pro-abortion, and she's pretty woke. She's a woke feminist. And the fact that she's also, supportive of transgenderism, that ain't going to fly. And here's a clip.
Transgender rights. There was a question last night about transgender sports, particularly youth sports. You took a run at it, and I don't know if it came out exactly as you intended. I want to play that sound and then have you respond to it. Let's go with it.
Biological boys playing in girls' sports. It is the women's issue of our time. My daughter ran track in high school. I don't even know how I would have that conversation with her. How are we supposed to get our girls used to the fact that biological boys are in their locker rooms And then we wonder why a third of our teenage girls seriously contemplated suicide last year? We should be growing strong girls, confident girls.
So what's interesting is how she frames the issue as, she's trying to come off as like a J.K. Rowling level turf. Now, I don't think J.K. Rowling's based at all. She retconned Dumbledore to be gay, which actually makes some of the Harry Potter moments very inappropriate if you think about it. But she retcons Dumbledore to be gay, so she's not based at all. She supported this and then waged war on the audience that she cultivated. And that's kind of what Nikki Haley is doing here. She is basically a liberal, and she's trying to fight liberalism from a liberal premise, but that is ultimately going to collapse because she doesn't stand on truth here. She's not saying that these are, boys are boys and girls are girls, and that's reality, and it's a fixed reality. You can't change that. She's not arguing that premise at all. She's arguing from the premise of we need girl power, and this is going to hurt girl power. So that's not a good argument against transgenderism because they say these boys are girls. What about their girl power? You go, girl. Stunning and brave. What's her argument against that? You're going to fight girl power with girl power? I don't think that's going to fly.
So, Madam Ambassador, I wanted you to clarify, if you could, the connection there to teen suicide.
Well, I mean, first of all, when girls are seeing multiple, I talked to a senior high school girl in New Hampshire a couple of weeks ago, and she said in every single classroom they're talking about transgenderism. And she said, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells because we don't know what we can say and what we can't. Girls need to feel confident in their own skin. They need to be able to do that. When you see someone like Dylan Mulvaney mocking women, when you see the fact that they're now having to go and have biological boys in their locker rooms, that's not good for teenage girls. That's not something they need to be focused on. It's not that we don't understand and appreciate the challenges of someone who's transgender, but why are you putting that on everybody else? Let the girls have their own locker room. Let the girls have their own sports. That was the whole point of Title IX. Don't go and push, the challenges of a small minority onto the majority of our girls. They don't deserve that.
So Nikki Haley does not actually answer the question because Nikki Haley made an argument that linked this issue to high school girl suicide, which she doesn't quantify that connection and that's a very difficult line to, dots to connect. That's a pretty difficult set of dots to connect with scientific evidence. Now, if she were to just argue the basic truth of boys are boys and girls are girls, she wouldn't have to do such leaps and bounds to come up with a compelling case that really just kind of falls flat because of how distant the dots are, and it's not necessarily the straight line that she's making it out to be. She's trying to argue girls' confidence. But again, they think that those are girls. So bad argument because she's not actually defending a premise of what a woman is. And the fact that she wants to argue, girls need their own locker rooms. Well, you disagreed with that as governor because you're a liberal. So the absolute hypocrisy in what she's saying because she does support transgenderism. And we got to keep in mind, I believe she repeats the line once more, we got to appreciate the challenges of transgender people is what she said. How I don't think we have to appreciate the challenges. I don't think there are necessarily transgender people. I just think they're perverted transvestites. I think that these boys that want to go in girls' locker rooms are perverts. So here we get to the clip that actually does go viral. That was a taster. Here's the full Monty.
Madam Ambassador, another question is what care should be on the table when a 12-year-old child in this country assigned female at birth says, actually, I feel more comfortable living as a boy. What should the law allow the response to be?
Well, I think the law should stay out of it, and I think parents should handle it. This is a job for the parents to handle. And then when that child becomes 18, if they want to make more of a permanent change, they can do that. But I think up until then, we see with our teenage kids, they go through a lot during puberty. They go through a lot of confusion. They go through a lot of anxiety. They go through a lot of pressures. We should support them the whole way through, but we don't need to go and enforce something in schools. We don't need schools sitting there hiding from the parents what gender pronoun they're using. We don't need to have those conversations in schools. Those are conversations that should be had at home.
All right, Nikki Haley, first female governor of South Carolina, hoping to be the first female president of the United States. Thank you very much.
So I'm going to give CBS credit. I thought those were very good interview questions. The 2 questions on this issue, like that was some actual journalism that he was trying to do there. So let's go back to the premise of the clip. So she views this as a parental rights issue. And when she talks about permanent change, what is that talking about? So the specific example is a girl that wants to be a boy. So does that mean top surgery now and then bottom surgery later? Which one's the permanent change? Because a lot of people are like, oh, you can just get breast implants to undo with top surgery. But there's no real limiting factor here. It's if the parents want to trans their kid, it's acceptable to Nikki Haley because parental rights. Now, I don't think that's true. I don't think parents have the right to trans their kids. I would not support that. I don't think doctors have the right to trans kids or people or adults. I think if a doctor does that, they should be thrown in jail. You know, there's no libertarian argument against the Hippocratic Oath. The Hippocratic Oath is, to me, you know, one of the rights that the 9th Amendment talks about in our U.S. Constitution, because this is a right that would have been recognized at the time of America's founding. This was a right recognized in English common law, the Hippocratic Oath, doctor-patient privilege, the duty of care that doctors have. These are things that are recognized, and these things must be enforced. In my opinion, that's my view, because duty of care matters. So I don't think it should be illegal at all. Nikki Haley believes that you can trans kids if you're, you know, with parental permission, with very few limiting factors. I guess top surgery, but not bottom surgery. So this is unacceptable and untenable for a Republican candidate. Nikki Haley is the most woke candidate in the race. That's even more woke than Chris Christie. Now, Chris Christie, let's talk about him for a second. He is running on a personal vendetta against Donald Trump. Hate the player. I kind of respect the game. At least I know where he's at, why he's doing what he's doing. I respect the game. I hate the player. Nikki Haley, she's the wokest candidate in the race. And it would so happen that there might only be 2 candidates in this race that know what a woman is. Ron DeSantis and Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, I think Vivek is snake oil salesman, but I don't believe that he's lying when he says that he knows what a woman is. I think he's telling the truth on that. So, let me know what you think about what I think. Have a blessed day. We'll catch you on the next one.